Mike's Daily Podcast.
Episode 1425. I am Mike Matthews, and we are at Cafe Anyway, located somewhere in Podcastro Valley, Mont. Today, we have the wonderful Benita, the disgruntled fiddle player, the brewmaster, plus we get on this little thing about how people get stuck on stupid. We talk about that. That's our segment today.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Our news segment. And I think we get a little stuck on stupid with the Instagram.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Do you have that app? I think a lot of people have that app. They have that because maybe they're not into the Facebook crap, and so they get into Instagram. Of course, they're owned by the same company, and then they do that, and it's all kinds of misery to us people with the social media that we hate and love simultaneously.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Because there's this one girl I know who always has a
Mike's
story in the
Daily
story section of
Podcast.
Instagram.
Yeah!
Whenever I open up Instagram, she is the first story. Always. Every day she's got a new story, and she always puts the camera right on her face, and she always says something like, I remember this time when I had a mole. Stuff like that. I guess stuff that I talk about on this show. Yeah. That was a good time way long ago when I had a mole. Look who walked in. Hi, Mike, it's Benita, the rodeo queen. How y'all doing?
I should disgruntled fiddle player tell you what.
What?
I heard y'all got some good Trump drops that y'all wanted to play.
Yes, I do, and I don't have them ready. Oh, yes, I do. I have them right here. Look who else walked in.
Hello, Mike. I make the delicious root beer. I'm the brewmaster. Oh, boy.
Okay. Let's play one for you now, brewmaster.
But all my life, I've heard that decisions are much different when you sit behind the desk in the Oval Office. In other words, when you're president of the United States.
Somehow that quote just really gets to me. And then this other one from our president.
You're fired. You're fired. You're fired. You're fired. You're fired.
Doesn't that make you go,
whoa?
I know it does.
Mike, I think our president is dealing with a bunch of stuff, and it all comes from the moon.
And here's today's podcast picture.
That girl just interrupted me.
Ariel did interrupt you, and it with good reason, because we have our wonderful podcast picture, which includes this guy.
Hello there, Mike. This is Valentino, the banking attendant. And yeah, I'm in the drawing today. I'm very honored.
Awesome. Hey, Greta Hausman's back on the C-SPAN. Yay! She's in a beautiful emerald green dress today, and she loves to show her wonderful shoulders. Let's hear it for Greta's shoulders. Now, I just wanted to also mention this little... Do we have this one too? Oh yeah, we have one other Trump thing. Oh, it's not a Trump thing.
Whoa.
It's this.
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
That's from Space Odyssey 2001. Yeah. So, as to stories, I tried to turn off the stories on Instagram, and I looked everywhere. I couldn't find the off button. So there it is every morning, and I keep looking at it. And of course, I have to follow Kate Upton, and Kate Upton's story is basically, watch my new movie, it's called The Layover. And so I see that every day, and yeah, so that's my life. Also, my life is dealing with an interesting group of people in the radio world. Radio hosts, and some of them have been in the biz a long time, and some have not. They're just getting started. The ones that have been in the biz a long time are they can't communicate. It's interesting. They've been in the communication business a long time, and they can't communicate. They can't tell me what they really want, and so I go, do you want this? And they're like, oh my God, is it that difficult? I I had one guy just fly off the handle when I asked a question to try and see what the heck he wanted. And then this other guy who's never been in radio before, he calls me up when I'm not at work and says, "Hey, Mike, I need someone to help me with my PowerPoint presentation with the audio. And since you work in radio, you can help me, right?" And I said, and people get mad at me when I go, But the point is, if I'm going, in your ear hole, it's because you're asking me something that is kind of unexpected. No, it is very unexpected, and my brain can't process it. So I'm going to say, And it's because you decided to throw a curveball at me. And I have to take the time to process it. Well, basically, he hung up on me, that guy. And then I processed it, and I talked to someone else, and I said to this other person that I work with, I said, I'm not giving my phone number out to anybody that are any of the hosts anymore. It's over with, because they just call and ask stupid questions. So, or text. One of them texted me something that had nothing to do with any. I'm looking at the text, going, "What? What is this?
What is this?"
Exactly. So, thank you. That's the radio biz. And it's the public service biz. And you never know. People want what they want, and then they can't say what they want, what they really want, and then it turns into a Spice Girl song. And then MIKEs-DAILY-PODCAST.com is the website where you can find all the old shows, and you can see all the past podcast pictures. You can help out the show through the Amazon link. Click on that Amazon link, buy whatever it is you were going to buy, and that helps us out tremendously. And there's also the PayPal. You can help us out that way. If you do that, you'll become an Inglorious Mike's Daily Podcaster and get a special greeting from all the Cafe Anyway characters. We also have the YouTube channel, the Mike's Daily Podcast channel. And we have the Twitter, if you haven't checked us out on Twitter yet, at Mike Talks. We got a little gallery, the Mike's Daily Podcast Picture Gallery. And the shows, past shows, all at MIKEs-DAILY-PODCAST.com. Now let's get to the segment called...
people get stuck on stupid, you know what I mean?
And I think that's what it is. That sums it all up, basically, with the people I know at any rate. So Russia. A top Trump aide emailed campaign officials last year about an individual seeking to arrange a meeting between top campaign officials and Russian President Vladimir Putin. This according to a new CNN report. The email sent by Rick Dearborn, who is now President Trump's deputy chief of staff, was unearthed by congressional investigators probing possible ties between the Trump campaign and Moscow. The identity of the individual who sought to arrange the meeting is not clear. CNN reported that the person was referenced as being from WV, which one source said meant West Virginia. Another source, however, told the network that the individual may have had political connections in West Virginia. Dearborn is said to have been wary about the proposed meeting. The White House did not comment. The email was sent in June of 2016, which is around the time that Trump's campaign members, including the president's son Donald Trump Jr., met with a Russian lawyer at Trump Tower who had promised compromising information on Hillary. Russian officials made other reported attempts to meet with members of Trump's campaign. The Washington Post obtained emails last week that targeted George Papadopoulos, who was a volunteer on Trump's campaign. No additional meetings between Russian-linked officials and Trump officials have been confirmed. Then there's Tesla. Everywhere you go in the Bay Area, you see Teslas. The Model, what's the Model X or whatever? The Model T, the Model S? I forget what it is. And that they're all over. And you know what? There was a time that they came out with this movie, I think this was over 10 years ago, called The Death of the Electric Car. And Ed Begley Jr., who was one of the early champions of electric cars, he's conducting a funeral because all the major car companies had decided to stop making electric cars. But then along Tesla comes and starts saying, no, we're going to make electric cars. And all the major car companies have followed suit. So we owe that, at least, to Tesla and Elon Musk. And someone who bought a car from Elon, one of the Teslas, said on Twitter, at Elon Musk, can you guys program the car once in park to move back the seat and raise the steering wheel? Steering wheel is wearing. Just 24 minutes later, Elon Musk tweeted back with the following message. Good point. We will add that to all cars in one of the upcoming software releases. Hey, that's amazing, isn't it? To hear back from them, to actually hear back. Because, okay, this one guy I work for, he went on a love fest yesterday about Apple, about how great Apple is. And you know what? Look all over the iTunes store, whatever it's called, the Apple store. Try and find a phone number. I had an issue once where someone had hacked into my Apple account, my iTunes account, and I couldn't find a phone number to go, hey, what the hell? I need help here. And so you have to go through this weird email. You have to email back and forth and to the website and finally get a hold of someone. It took a long time. Google's the same way with the Google Play Store. But the fact that Elon Musk replied right away on using Twitter, so that's the way to get a hold of him, is on Twitter, by the way. So, and that may be the way of the future, to talk to CEOs. Hey, Coke, your drink is crap. Oh, we're working on that, Mike. Thanks. By removing it from the stores, because we don't want everyone to get diabetes anymore. I blame Coke for diabetes. Makes sense, doesn't it? And then this story, why leasing a smartphone may be better than buying one. At the beginning of the smartphone era, you pretty much had to buy. You could either buy it outright, carriers, or you could get it for a $200-ish with a 2-year contract, and then own the phone at the end. When you reached the end of the contract, you paid for the phone. It was 2 years old and trash, so you'd go back and get a new phone and start over. Leasing is similar to the old system, as you're still paying for the phone over the course of your contract, but it's not so much a hidden fee now. They specify the monthly price up front and usually a separate line item on your bill, so you always know what you're being charged for. With a lease, they'll push you near the 1-year mark to trade the phone in for a new one. Phones don't get faster or bigger at the same rate that they used to, but there is a certain comfort to always having the latest. That's an interesting statement here made by the New York Times. Does it make fiscally sense? If you don't mind having an extra $20 or $30 per phone line item on your bill, it's not a bad way to go. And they talk about family plans here and stuff. I hate family plans. I want a phone for me. I use Cricket. I was able to get my phone for $1, and it's been working for over a year, and I'm happy. And I hate all these other things they offer you. But, you know, I guess I understand if you're a family plan, you got a kid, you got a phone, you got to work it out. And the leasing thing, that's interesting. I would say, yeah, that makes sense if the phones can continue to advance in their tech, but they apparently are not in this article as much as they used to. So maybe it's all right to have an old phone for longer. And then finally, with charging and recharging, shallow charges, discharges, and recharges are better than full ones because they put less stress on the battery, so it lasts longer. When your battery is discharging, Battery University recommends that you only let it reach 50% before topping it up again. While you're charging it back up, you should also avoid pushing a lithium-ion battery all the way to 100%. Don't leave the device plugged in. Instead, follow the shallow discharge and recharge cycle that they mentioned. This is in Popular Science. Okay. And we go outside a cafe anyway, where we bring you Mike's Daily Podcast somewhere in Podcaster Valley. I don't really understand that, but all I know is that when I'm using the function on my phone for GPS, I have my phone plugged in to the cigarette lighter in my car, because I know that drains the battery. And then when I get home, my phone isn't completely depleted and I can still use it the rest of the day. It says here regular full discharges aren't a good idea, though. In general, you should be keeping your battery above 20%, according to Samsung. Once a month, let the battery undergo a full discharge to about 5%, just to recalibrate its self-assessment. The mechanism allows your laptop or smartphone to give you an estimated battery time remaining reading that's somewhat accurate. But like Samsung said, you shouldn't keep letting it drop below 20%. Well, I wanted to very quickly, while we're wrapping up the show, jump over to this segment called
Email from email and your calm and not so calm mess.
Because we did hear from the wonderful Bob, who went up to Eclipse Country, and he calls this area, he said he just got back to the Bay O area, but the email before, during the eclipse, actually the day of the eclipse, this was about, I think this was shortly after the eclipse ended. He said, we saw the full corona of the sun with our naked eyes. Amazing community park in Redmond, Oregon. 30 seconds of complete coolness. Say hi to Basil and give him a sloppy kiss from Bob and his son, Joe. Did I also mention, too, he said, we got up at 5 a.m., they were in Redmond, Oregon, inside the totality zone. Went to the observatory last night. Astronomer told us we'll see 29 seconds of complete totality here. Let's see. And he said, when he wrote this, it was about 10:15. Hold on to your celestial hats. Here comes the sun. Thank you, Bob, for that. Our newest listener, Bob. Next show, it's going to be Madame Rutabaga Valentino and Bison Bentley. Thanks for stopping by, Benita. Yeah, I'm going to go see the eclipse right now. I'm going inside. Bye, bye. She's slightly confused.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at MIKEs-DAILY-PODCAST.com. Email Mike now at MIKEs-DAILY-PODCAST@gmail.com. See you tomorrow. Bye.